My name is Henry JOLICOEUR. I'm a French-Canadian psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, and my special field of interest and study is brainwashing and mind control by cults. Today I would like to give further comments on a false spiritual teacher called TEAL SWAN. I got interested in this false teacher because she claimed that she is the reincarnation of the great saint Shirdi Sai Baba. Now, I have been studying the life of Shirdi Sai Baba for many years, and I am preparing to film a documentary on the life and teaching of Shirdi Sai Baba in Shirdi, India, where more than 25,000 devotees come every day to pay respect to that great saint who unite the philosophy of Hinduism and the philosophy of a mystical Islam. He is loved and respected all over the world, and especially in India. From a philosophical point of view, it is impossible for a saint, someone that has experienced enlightenment or self-realization, to come back in the lower form of life. This is confirmed by all the great scriptures and all the great masters, both in Hinduism and in Buddhism. Once you experience enlightenment, you get off the wheel of birth and death. Enlightenment can never be taken away from someone who has experienced that state of consciousness. In Hinduism and in Buddhism, such beings are said to attain moksha, samadhi. They get off the wheel of birth and death and merge into what some call divine consciousness or Brahman. And here we have TEAL SWAN saying, oh, yes, I was Shirdi Sai Baba in my past life. I remember clearly that I was Shirdi Sai Baba. I remember as clearly as when I remember that I was 17-years-old. And I say she is lying, she is deceiving, faster that she can speak. I'm going to read now some of what she said she experienced as a child. And just think, could a great saint, an enlightened being, come back to experience such thing? I say no. And if TEAL SWAN wants to be serious in convincing the hundreds of thousands of people who are listening to her on YouTube, she should take a lie detector test with the most expert person on the planet. She can find one of those experts at the Cult Education website. I'm sure Mr. Rick Ross will be happy to provide the name of such expert. Let her take a lie detector for all the claim that she said. Let the public not be so stupidly taken by her stories, her lies and deceits, which ultimately is only a way for this narcissistic personality disorder person to get the attention on herself. She is truly a new age psychopath and a very dangerous person as far as I can see. So let's read what she said. Teal Swan claimed she was sewn into a corpse as part of the abuse she faced in the cult while she was young. She said, "He'd take me into the mortician office late at night, and when I was about 8, he ended up sewing me into a body and leaving me there for about 12 hours. Morticians all over the world will tell you that this is absolutely impossible to put an 8-year-old child in the thoracic cavities of a dead person. For the 13 years that followed, I was systematically and progressively separated from my family. I was tortured physically and sexually in rituals, forced to participate in sacrifice, rape, forced to eat and drink out of a dog bowl, forced to undergo 3 abortions, all fathered by my principal abusers, who was 60-year-old. He performed the abortion himself with veterinary equipment, which he had in his office. I was photographed for sadomasochistic pornography, sold for money to men for sex at outdoor gas station bathrooms and in motel room, kept in basement, kept in a plank cover hole in the ground in my house backyard, exposed to electroshock programming, forced to undergo isolation and torture, left overnight tied up in a lava cave in southern Idaho. I was forced to participate in bestiality and necrophilia, drugged by my abuser with opiate, dormitor, ketamine, and so forth. I was chased through the Idaho-Utah wilderness by my abuser, who loved to play tracking games in which he would haunt me. If I won, I was rewarded. If I lost, I was either raped or count coup by making cut mark on my rib cage. I was used as a lure to other children that ended up being hurt or on occasion killed by the cult group. And the list could go on and on. But this experience is still something that seriously affects my life today. On the other hand, it is obvious that I would not be in this position of lecturing around the world if I did not have those experiences back then. I think that Teal Swan must have watched many horror movies in order to come up with some fantastic stories. Could Shirdi Sai Baba, one of the greatest saints that ever lived in India, come back and involve himself in necrophilia? I just don't think so. I think it is all lies. I think it is all deceit. I think it's just a ploy to bring attention to herself and say, look, I've been down there and now I am such a great spiritual teacher and I work with entities from other planets. Complete nonsense. And as I said, if it's true, let her take a lie detector. Let's make a video about it, and I am willing to pay for the best professional in the business of lie detecting to do this interview of Teal Swan. Now for me, one of the most disturbing aspects of her teaching is that she recommends suicide as a delicious experience. She said it is like touching the reset button of your life and you start over again in another dimension. Now, all the great metaphysicians, especially in Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, will tell you that this is absolute lie. When you commit suicide, the process of reincarnation does not take place, but the soul remains trapped in the astral world. The Tibetan call it to become an hungry ghost because you have all those desires, but you don't have a material body to fulfill them. Lie, a great deception to encourage people to commit suicide. Why have she not committed suicide if she is so advanced and thinks it's so delicious? From the article I am reading, and I will put a link to that article under this video, there's already 2 people in the circle of student and disciple of Teal Swan that have committed suicide. The only other cult that I know that recommended suicide is the People Temple. We all remember that more than 800 people committed suicide in Guyana under the leadership of Jim Jones. Now, during that mass suicide, many were forced to drink the poison, but many took it voluntarily because they had faith that their leader, Jim Jones, was right and that suicide was the right way to end their life at that moment. I think this is crazy. It is dangerous. We know of 2 that have committed suicide, but how many more listening to those videos in different countries will say, hey, if she says it's delicious, let's go for it. Because right now I'm so depressed, I want out. And they take her as an authority on life and death. An extremely dangerous teaching. I have written and I have made a video in Spanish to ask the police of Costa Rica to investigate Teal Swan and her cult. When one day her lies and deceits are finally catching up to her, and she has a group of disciples in Costa Rica, it's quite possible that she will say, hey, it's time that we commit suicide because it's so delicious. You will feel so much better. We push the reset button all together at once. I think she is one of the most dangerous cult leader on the internet today, and it's hard to understand that hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people now have watched her video because she has a facility to talk. She's good looking and she has stories that are both horrific and at the same time intergalactic, really spaced out. And all these stories have nothing to do with true spirituality, that we are right here, right now, divine being. She is lying, she is deceiving, and she is simply trying to make a buck with those teaching. She is just one more to add to the pile of false teacher that have come to us through history. Thank you very much.